Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, or maybe from some of these other Locked On Sports postcasts we do. Today, the 49ers got a big looming matchup coming up against the Atlanta Falcons, and they might have their quarterback back for this one. Brock Purdy limited in practice this week, but more limited than Mac Jones has been. So what does that mean? And the 49ers should get a huge lift with George Kittle on track to return for this Week 7 matchup.
Hey, everyone. I'm Dwayne Boyd, four-time Super Bowl champion. And this week, the 49ers got it cut out for them, stopping the Atlanta Falcons run. They're averaging 151 yards a game. They're ranked number one rushing and ball rushing, and also the running back Robinson. He's averaging 5.8 yards a carry, and the guy's a horse. He reminds me a lot of William Andrews when he breaks tackles. I don't know his numbers after contact, but they got to be up there.
Run games are important. The Falcons doing a good job. The Niners aren't as much, but what's even more important is the passing games and the pass rush. Falcons doing a great job there. Niners, not so much. Talking about work cut out, Niners have a lot of work cut out for them Sunday night.
We'll get into it on Sunday Night Football preview here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show coming up right now.
To all the faithful, it's the 49ers Squad. Everything San Francisco 49ers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Levi's Stadium. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. For those faithful to the Bay, the 49ers Squad Show starts now.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Thanks so much to all our everydayers for tuning in and making us your first listen for anything 49ers related. And very, very much appreciate you guys tuning in today. And of course, today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. And the 49ers, they've been, pretty good at kind of managing the injuries that they've had so far this year. And when you're looking at this Falcons game, you were kind of thinking, maybe the 49ers get a little bit healthier after Sunday's game. Maybe you're feeling, like they lost to the Bucks, but they just didn't have the horses to compete with what Baker was doing over there. And then you start thinking maybe the Falcons game might be like a soft landing for the 49ers after this loss to the Bucks. And then you watch the Falcons go out there, just absolutely beat down the Buffalo Bills in that first half of Monday Night Football. Now, the Falcons do have a short week, but that was super impressive watching Bijan Robinson just run roughshod all over that Buffalo's Bills defense, which is not supposed to be a bend over type unit, but they definitely did against Bijan Robinson. So, Dwayne, we started there with in the open. Do you think that the Falcons rushing attack is going to be just as formidable against the 49ers as it was against the Bills?
I think it will. I think it will be give it to Robinson. That guy, he touches the ball quite a bit. Even he was number two. He's number two in pass receptions too. He does it all. I see him as a guy that when he gets the ball, he runs angry. And we don't have angry defensive players right now. We need some guys that's going to play with fire in their eyes and open it up. And it's nothing to lose. This is going to be a Sunday night matchup that the 49ers is going to have to show up to. We haven't seen them show up like we expected so far, but we would like to see some real football coming on Sunday night.
Yeah, the 49ers looked like they kind of got pushed around a lot against that Tampa Bay Bucks team, especially up front, especially in the trenches and on both sides of the ball. And when you're looking at the injury report, as one does every single week for leading into your 49ers games, because if you don't, then you might be surprised when you see, half of the team that you're expecting to be out there sitting on the bench. And when I'm looking at the injury report this week, I'm seeing Kalia Davis did not practice. Yetur Gross-Matos did not practice. Kevin Givens limited practice. And I'm seeing a lot of injuries on that defensive line. And obviously the 49ers lost Fred Warner for the season. You still don't have Nick Bosa, CJ West, and Mykel Williams also showing up on the injury report, both with thumb injuries. So you got a lot of guys who are banged up on the defensive line. So Brian, what does this 49ers defense need to do to shore up some of those holes against Bijan Robinson? Or is it kind of like a different direction where you got to just kind of limit what the Falcons do in the pass game and just kind of accept that you're just going to get run over like a truck from Bijan?
It's a tough one, because while Bijan Robinson is super dynamic and the Falcons have done a great job running the football this year, that is the one thing that I think the Niners can do well on defense. And then even with the loss of Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, they should continue to somewhat be okay as a run-stopping defense. And you look at how they've done this season, they've done a great job, except for, they just the occasional, there was a big play against the Jaguars. Travis Etienne had a nice run, but overall, the 49ers have been a much better run defending team than a pass defending team. And a lot of that post Bosa is because of the pass rush. And I've been talking about that a lot all week. And I think it's my, the number one thing that I will be talking about this football game is the pass rush. But if there's something the 49ers do well, it's stopping the run. Now, can they keep that going against the best running back in the NFL this year in Bijan Robinson? Because if they can't, the 49ers are going to be in huge trouble if they can't stop the run. So that's got to be number one. And then you hope you can maybe get a little pressure in those third and long situations with a young quarterback and maybe get him to throw the ball your way and get one of those interceptions that are so hard to get for the San Francisco 49ers. But I'm still, from the 49ers standpoint, I'm still more worried about Bijan out of the backfield as a receiver, about Drake London as a receiver, about how much time Michael Penix might have in the pocket than I am the run game, even with Bijan Robinson in the backfield. As good as he is, that's the strength of the 49ers defense right now as well. And, on the other side, you hope that the 49ers getting George Kittle back and be a huge boon for that run game on their side. Because you talk about, so the 49ers are sitting here we're talking about Bijan Robinson like he's this otherworldly guy. The 49ers have Christian McCaffrey, right? He was Offensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. And we're talking about like the Niners aren't even in their league as far as their run game. And that's kind of insane to have one of the better running backs in recent NFL history in Christian McCaffrey in a Kyle Shanahan offense, and the 49ers can't run the ball. That's not something I thought I'd be talking about right now with a healthy McCaffrey and the 49ers still not being able to run the ball, because Kyle Shanahan's proven he can run the ball no matter who's out there, even if McCaffrey's hurt, right? They were 5.5 yards per carry last year with Jordan Mason. So Niners have a big problem up front, I think. And, we've talked about how maybe Christian McCaffrey's lost a step, but there's definitely something that needs to be fixed. Is the missing cog George Kittle? Because we've only seen him for a quarter, and it was a nice quarter with George Kittle's in there for the 49ers this year. And it's funny because I was talking with, and it's going to prepare a little bit later tonight on the Locked On 49ers channel, did the crossover with Aaron Freeman of Locked On Falcons. And off the air, before we started recording, he was like, yeah, you know what? I was going to do some film work, but then I'm looking at weeks 1 and 2, and nobody's going to be on the field that I'm looking at. So why would I look at weeks 1 and 2 film? Because there's no Bosa, there's no Fred Warner, there's no Pearsall out there. So that's what the 49ers are dealing with right now. It's just the reality of it. But I still think they can be an okay run defense. If Bijan Robinson's running wild on the 49ers, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, and I mean, you were talking a lot about Bijan as a wide receiver, or as a pass catcher, not as a wide receiver, but as a pass catcher out of the backfield. And yeah, you look at just last week or Monday night against the Bills, Michael Penix had 20 completions. 16 of them went to Drake London and Bijan Robinson. So I mean, that is the offense, right? It's those three guys. I mean, maybe like Kyle Pitts has I guess the potential to do something, as every person who's played fantasy for the last 3 to 4 years knows, but he hasn't lived up to that. And Tyler Algier, I think, gives you something out of the backfield that to spell Robinson. But I mean, you don't have just like a plethora of playmakers you got to shut down on this offense. Nonetheless, you still saw Drake London haul in 10 balls for 158 yards, a touchdown, and he almost added a second touchdown right before halftime as he was ruled out of bounds just shy of the goal line as the clock hit 0. But Robinson, I mean, he's doing a lot of what a lot of similar things to what we see Christian McCaffrey do, right? Like he's breaking the opponent's defense out of the backfield in multiple different ways. 6 receptions, 68 yards in his game against Buffalo, a long of 23. So I mean, he's doing a lot of work in all facets of the game. How do you stop Penix from orchestrating this offense and continuing to push this ball down the field, mainly with Bijan Robinson? Dwayne, what do you think they should do to kind of bottle that pass attack up?
Well, on the pass attack, Michael Penix is not a guy to worry about. He's only averaging 227 yards a game, and that's not the killer. The thing that he has problems with is playing teams that go man to man. Okay, he likes his zone, and when you're playing zone, that means that hey, he got more space to see the field. But that's another problem too when you're playing zone or man to man. When you got Robinson and London, those guys, they're always open. And the reason they're always open because they don't run deep patterns. You don't see those guys, lining up and getting off the line of scrimmage with the head down, going deep every play. Because the coach is smart because he knows that he got the number one defense right now in the NFL. So hey, play ball control. Make the other team turn it over. Make the other team make the mistake because we're not going to make the mistake. We're going to play football. We're going to line up in the trenches and we're going to blood it in the nose. And that's what the game is going to be all about against them. It's not going to be who's going to cover Robinson. We don't have a linebacker that can cover that guy. No. Do we have a safety that can cover him? Nope. So you got to ball him up and hope you get enough pressure on the quarterback so he spit the ball out before he gets too far up the field or get beyond the line of scrimmage.
And that leads us back to what Brian was talking about early on, was the pass rush disparity between these two teams. So let's get into it a little bit. The Atlanta Falcons pass rush looking a whole hell of a lot better than the 49ers pass rush so far this season. Brian, you were all over it in the beginning. You said this is going to be the thing that makes or breaks this game for the 49ers. And why is that?
Say that again. You cut out there for a second.
You said at the beginning of the show when we were leading into everything that you thought the pass rush was going to be the thing that makes or breaks this game for the 49ers. Can you give us a little bit of insight into that and why you think that is so important and critical in this matchup specifically?
Well, the pass rush is always critical. And to be honest with you, I hope it's not the make or break because I think it's going to be a break because the 49ers aren't good at doing it and the Falcons are. The 49ers, without Nick Bosa, have bottom 3 pressure percentage and sack percentage. And the Falcons this season are top 7 in pressure percentage, and they're second in the entire NFL in sack percentage. And they're coming off their best performance where they pressured Josh Allen 44% of the time on Monday Night Football. And that's a team that was by far the most that Josh Allen had been pressured this year. And so when you put all that together, you've got a team that runs the ball really well. And even if you do your job stopping the run, can you get them off the field on third downs? And can you pressure that team? And on the other side, when the 49ers have the ball, you got an injured quarterback, whether it's Brock or Mac, they're both limited. They're both not 100%. So you've got a quarterback that might be not as mobile as you'd like, and you've got a really good pass rush coming at them for a team that hasn't been able to run the ball well. So like that all to me spells disaster for the 49ers. Now I've got a little something for our listeners in my back pocket that I think could be something that spins positive for the San Francisco 49ers here, maybe a couple of things. But looking at this game and you lay all that out there on paper, I am shocked that the 49ers are favored by 2.5 points. Like that doesn't make any bit of sense to me right now. On paper, this game should be all Falcons aside from them playing on the road.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's looking at, well, it's a short week for the Falcons, but it's not a short week, okay? They're coming out here and they'll be ready to play because they don't play until Sunday night. So that's just like picking up an extra day, really, on a short week. And you got to look at it, too. You got you got a defensive coordinator, Albrecht, who used to be used to be a Niner. You know? He was a linebacker at one time, and he was in New York with the Jets with Solly. So they know each other. And Albrecht, he starts 5 defensive linemen, and that's a big thing when you can do that, because you're gonna have to you're gonna have some corners that's gonna be able to cover on the outside when you're playing five defensive linemen, because you got to play a lot of 3 deep, and that's going to be interesting too. Do we have anybody that can stretch the field or can have enough time to stretch the field? Because we don't have a quarterback right now that can move.
Yeah, I mean, whoever you got back there in the pocket is going to be limited in mobility either way, because both quarterbacks are dealing with lower body injuries. Mac with the knee and the oblique, I believe, and then Brock with the turf toe. But it's going to be I think tough to get away from this Falcons pass rush, and it's the exact opposite of what the 49ers have done this year, right? Like, all of the 49ers pass rush has come from, I've said it a few times, they've only had like 3 defensive linemen this year that have totaled or have recorded a sack, 4 players in total. The Falcons have 12 who have recorded at least a half a sack this season. So it's by committee. They only have 1 guy who has more than a sack and a half on their entire roster. So it's not like they have 1 guy who's just out there dominating. And they do have a former 49er in Leonard Floyd, who I would have liked to see come back with this year's team, but I think it was going to be too much to try and bring him back with what he did last year for the team. But the just amount of different bodies that they can throw at you, that they can the amount of different ways they can create pressure, I think is kind of what you used to see from this 49ers defensive line, right? When you had Robert Saleh getting, Kevin Givens going, getting whoever off the edge was something that he did really well. And Jeff Ulbrich, like Dwayne was saying, is a kind of a disciple of Robert Saleh. So maybe there is something there where the 49ers can get a little bit of a competitive advantage, because the 49ers do know this defense so well, this type of defense. And it's not the exact same carbon copy, but it is a similar thing to what a lot of the things that Robert Saleh likes to do, right? So maybe because they're running against a similar defense in practice, that does give them hopefully a little bit of an inside lane against this Atlanta Falcons defense. But I think it's going to come down to just who you got out there. Like it's not really going to be the X's and the O's so much as the Jimmies and the Joes in this one, in my opinion, because at a certain point, you just look at the talent disparity in the trenches. And when I'm looking at the 49ers and I'm seeing yet another offensive lineman on the injury report with Dom Pooney not practicing because of the knee, and with all the issues that they've had in the interior specifically already, this does not look like a good situation on paper for the 49ers going into this one. And conversely, when you look at the 49ers trying to generate a pass rush, it's non-existent. It's not there. Without Nick Bosa, without Fred Warner, I don't expect it to just all of a sudden magically appear either. So I do think that this is going to be a big issue for the 49ers. But I mean, how many times have we said this going into a game where it's like the 49ers look like they have just no shot in a specific position matchup because of these injuries and just being so shorthanded, yet they sit here at 4-2. Yet they're still sitting here in contention for the postseason. I mean, they are a playoff contender still in every sense of the word. So, Brian, what's your kind of temperature on this team right now? Is this a team that you're thinking you're excited about and you think that this team's a legitimate playoff contender, or is this team like kind of more of a pretender and you're waiting for them to fall off that cliff that is not too far ahead?
I want to answer your question in a second, because one other note on the Falcons pass rush is that they have 12 different guys on defense that have at least a half a sack. So it's not just like their first round guys. It's not like James Pierce and Jalen Walker. They drafted 2 guys in the first round and that fixed their pass rush, and they're coming off the edge and just running the arc and getting to quarterbacks. Like they're getting to quarterbacks in all kinds of different ways. They got DBs on the blitz, and Ulbricht's been pretty blitz heavy. And that's kind of one of the things I've been surprised about when I was looking at the numbers this week. And I gave you guys the numbers a little bit earlier with and without Nick Bosa on the field. The 49ers have been one of the worst teams getting after the quarterback, but they haven't blitzed anymore. Near identical. And in fact, maybe even fewer blitzes since Nick Bosa went down. And I feel like that's got to change. And I know that Robert Saleh doesn't want to leave his secondary out to dry when he's bringing extra pressure, but at some point you've got to get some pressure on opposing teams. And it's one of the things that's really working well for the Atlanta Falcons. So I wonder if Saleh could take a little page out of his protege's book there and just bring a little bit of extra pressure to try to create some kind of a pass rush if his guys aren't winning one-on-one and getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. But to answer your other question, I do think for that very reason, the 49ers are right now pretenders, and we're going to have to see what this team looks like if they can get a little bit healthier. But I don't think I'd be in the mode of trying to make a bunch of big trades. It was rough with Nick Bosa, but it's like, okay, let's trade for an edge rusher, and you might feel like you're okay. You know, we replace some of Nick Bosa, and we feel good. We're going to be healthier in November than we are in October and December, and we can make a run. But then without Fred Warner, it feels like too much. And I think the 49ers, with their schedule and as competitive as they've been already, and they banked a few wins, I think it's more about, it's not like, okay, we are Super Bowl contenders. Let's go for this thing. We got it. It's more like, all right, let's maybe make a minor move for a pass rusher, bring in an Arden Key for a 7th round pick, something very minor, try to get a little more pass rush, and let's just have fun. We're playing with house money this year. Let's have fun. It might be a 1st round exit in the playoffs, but playoffs is a heck of a lot better than a 6-win team that we saw last year. So see if you can go win some games. But as far as being a true contender, it's really hard to envision that for the 49ers right now with all of the injury problems they have, not getting guys like Bosa and Warner back. That's a really tough one for this 49ers team.
Well,
yeah. And go ahead, Wayne. Sorry.
No, this is what I look at. The rushes that they have, I don't think they utilize them right. I'm a big, you guys heard me talk about running stunts all the time, running games. You got to run games. You got to mix it up, because when you see the 49ers rush, they're all going one-on-one. They think that they can beat that guy one-on-one, but I don't see nobody out there that can beat anybody one-on-one. So what you got to do is you got to run stunts. You got to run games. You got to mix it up, and quarterbacks don't like that. I've said it over and over again. They like to see where the rush is coming. They want to see where it is, and they know where to move. When you run stunts, they don't like. They get uncomfortable because they don't want to get hit. And when they see guys crossing and guys going in different directions, first thing he's going to do is pull the ball down and try to take off and running. So, and this is a young quarterback. You got to make him get out the pocket. You got to see what he does once he get out the pocket, because I haven't seen him make his decisions out the pocket. I don't see him go down the field. I see him tuck and go. I don't see a guy like they played last week. When you get out the pocket, he's going to do what? He's going to air it out. This guy doesn't do that. So they got to do something, bring some pressure somewhere, bring a safety, bring an inside linebacker up the middle, get up in his face or something. We're not getting it done the way we're doing it now.
I totally agree. And Penix is the odd quarterback that has athleticism but doesn't really use it. He doesn't feel comfortable getting out and making plays on the move. It's kind of strange with his physical package, because he's fast, but he doesn't make plays on the run.
No, he doesn't. He wants to tuck. He wants to tuck and run. He's not a guy that want to look downfield. First thing he sees when he sees trouble, he drops his head and takes off, really like a scared rabbit.
You can just sense how much Dwayne doesn't like quarterbacks.
No, I only like one quarterback. He wore number 16.
Number 16, I had a feeling.
Yeah, number 16. That's one quarterback that you can live with.
Yeah, it's been interesting watch Penix play, right? Because you saw him do a little bit of that in college. I think a lot more of that than you've seen him do in the NFL. Obviously, you guys in the NFL hit a lot harder, so quarterbacks are obviously deterred from trying to run the ball against a guy who's going to potentially end your career with one hit. But Penix isn't like a small guy either. Like he's not a wiry, skinny quarterback. Like he's got some thickness to him. He looks like a guy who can take a hit or two. And yeah, he does not really like to pull it down and run in situations where he could potentially like get hit at all. He seems kind of adverse to that. I also, just in general, like just as a general thing, I hate watching lefty quarterbacks, man. Like there's something about it. It just does not look right. It just looks awkward. Every time I'm watching Michael Penix go back there to throw the football, or at least on Monday Night Football when I was watching, it kept seeming like it was just, not like he was just holding the ball out there, like really far away from his body. And I don't know, Dwayne, maybe you can speak to this, but is it just like a weird eye illusion thing where the lefty quarterback just looks clunky, or can you kind of sense that out there as a defensive player? Like, is there actually some clunkiness to those left-handed quarterbacks? And could that maybe be like a little wrinkle that the 49ers kind of pursue and try to exploit in some way?
Well, left-hand quarterbacks, there's very few of those guys, great ones. Not many of them made it to the Super Bowl neither. And one of them, Steve Young might have been the first left-handed quarterback to ever make it to the Super Bowl and win it. And what was Steve? Steve was a runner. So it was one of those things where he had to make himself stay in the pocket. And that's what left-hand guys do. The field is different. I remember we had a ball boy one time, and one of my equipment guys told this young kid, "Hey, go over there and get the left-hand balls out the bag." And the equipment guy looked at him, "What do you mean left-hand balls?" So it's an odd situation. Nobody knows that, hey, there's no left-hand balls. So
I don't know if you've seen the video. There's you can find it on YouTube. There's a video where someone, horizontally flipped Tua, and he looks like a completely different quarterback because it looks like he's throwing right-handed, and it looks like it's normal. He looks like if you said, "Here, look at this guy. Where should he be drafted?" It'd be like, "Oh, he might." Yeah, that looks like a top 5 pick, and then you look at him throw left-handed. You're like, "No, not anymore." And I don't remember who it was. I saw it play. It might have been last week. It might have been Penix. It was either Penix or Tua, right? I don't think there's any other lefty quarterbacks right now.
There's only 2 left-hand quarterbacks
and
right now.
He threw a pass into the end zone, and it was just so weird to watch the ball tail, because usually the ball, curves to your throwing hand side. So a right-hander, the ball's going to tail to the right. Lefty, the ball's going to throw to the left. And it looked like the receiver that was running the route saw the pass coming and just didn't quite expect to see the ball tail in that direction. And you just saw the ball like kind of just tail out of bounds. And I think it is probably a tough transition sometimes for receivers to catch those balls, just because it's spinning the opposite direction and moves a little bit differently. Yeah. But it is crazy to watch a guy, you flip the video horizontally and watch him throw right-handed, and it looks so much better.
And too, with left-hand quarterbacks, you see that ball, the nose of the ball seems like it's always clamming. You don't see the nose of the ball coming down. It's always like it's going up. And it's weird. It's just something in the lefty.
Yeah, I think it's an optical illusion because we're so used to seeing the right-handed spin.
Yeah, I don't want to play with a left-hand golfer. It scares the heck out of me, man.
Yeah, and hopefully the 49ers can find some way to get Michael Penix and his left-handed throwing motion on the ground, because that's really the key to this game in a lot of ways. I think is I do think there's some degree of Bijan Robinson is going to get his. I do think that a guy that good who runs with that much aggression and is just violent against a team that just doesn't really seem to want to play a violent brand of football, I think that spells disaster for the 49ers. I don't necessarily think he's going to have, a $170 and an 81-yard, run to the house like he did on Monday night, but I do expect him to get probably up near 100 yards and maybe a touchdown. I think if they can get to Michael Penix and they can disrupt some of this Falcons offense on third downs, and you can maybe try and stop them from continuing to pass or possess the ball and play keep away from the 49ers offense, I think that will give you a chance to win if you're the 49ers. I don't think it's necessarily all about bottling up Bijan Robinson. I think for me personally, I think looking at this game, I think that the way you win this one, the way you score more points than the Falcons is you don't let the Falcons passing attack also hurt you, because I think the running attack is going to hurt you a little bit. Let's take a quick break here. On the other side, we got to talk about what might be, we might have buried the lead, man. George Kittle coming back. We got to get into George Kittle. Brock Purdy also spotted back at practice, but what does that really mean? We got to get into all that next here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is sponsored by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And if you're looking for a surefire bet to get that $300 in bonus bucks, look no further than this 49ers Atlanta Falcons matchup. Now, Brian alluded to this earlier. I have no idea how in the hell the Atlanta Falcons are getting points in this matchup. If you want to be safe, go ahead and take the Falcons plus the points. Just go Falcons money line, though, because I hate to say it, I'm not expecting a 49ers win on Sunday Night Football against the Atlanta Falcons. If you still want to be able to root for your Niners to win and make your money, I would say take Atlanta plus the points. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by four-time Super Bowl champion Dwayne Board and host of the Locked On 49ers podcast, Brian Peacock. And today we're talking about the 49ers and Falcons matchup coming up in Week 7 on Sunday Night Football. The Falcons, fresh off a nice win over the Buffalo Bills, 24-14 on Monday Night Football. And the Falcons really scored, almost all of their points in that in that first half. And they were damn close to scoring a fourth touchdown in that first half just before halftime. The 49ers have not started hot, particularly in some of these games lately. This last week against the Bucks, you did see them put up 16 points in that first half, but I think that this offense needs to start getting going, right? It's about time in the season to see this offense start moving the football, but it's been hard because you have not had so many key contributors. Number one contributor that they have been missing, in my opinion, George Kittle, because he impacts the game on so many different levels. We know this. We talk about it extensively, how he impacts the run game, the pass game, virtually everything they do, the vibes, just the vibe game in the locker room. George Kittle is a guy who is irreplaceable in all these aspects that he contributes to. But my question is, Dwayne, let's start with you. How big of an impact can we really expect George Kittle to have in his return? Is he going to need some time to ramp back up after an injury like this, or do you expect him to come back in and just be that force of nature that we expect him to be?
He's going to need a little bit of time. He's not going to be able to come back in and just turn the switch on and let it rip. It's not going to be like that for him because he's missed a lot of games already. It's almost like this is a preseason game for George Kittle coming back. But it's one thing that George Kittle can do is block. And that's what they're missing up front in the run game is the block. And then also George Kittle, he knows how to get open on the short routes. And that's another thing that's going to be a key too, is who's ever playing quarterback is they got to look for George Kittle as a check down guy or get it out right now because they got to get away from that pass rush. The quarterback got to get away from that pass rush. And Kittle, he can be the one that can help him. And you can keep him in and help block and have him release and still get the check down, and he'll catch the check down and make something out of it. So I think it's going to be great for them having him back, but he might be a little slow start. He might not get going till the second half. So you won't see him that much in the first half, I don't think. But the second half of the game, give George the props because he's going to be George Kittle in the second half of the game.
Yeah, I do think that he's going to pretty immediately impact this rushing attack, at least open up some more lanes outside because they have just been, completely shut down. The road's closed. Nobody's going through there. And I think that obviously he makes a big impact in the run game. But also, like you said, quarterback's best friend against a good pass rush is a tight end because a good tight end will provide some help in pass protection and also give you a nice little outlet when that blitz gets hot. So, and they're usually the hot read coming off of those blitzes. So Kittle as a receiver, do you expect him, Brian, to really make a big impact in this game? Or is this still going to be the 49ers kind of just trying to do it by committee with all these random, not very household names?
Well, the first part is, he still has to be on the field and active for this game because he was limited at practice and he's coming off the hamstring, and I'm sure they're trying to slow play it because they don't want to have him come back and be full go all of a sudden and then hurt that hamstring. And 5 weeks on IR for a hamstring means that was a pretty severe injury. So you hope he's not on a pitch count. But the good news about that is it's not a knee or an ankle or something where it's like, oh, he's not going to be the same guy. As long as his hamstring's not torn or not pulled, he's going to be the healthiest guy on the football team, right? And same old George Kittle. So I think he'll have a massive impact. I think he'll be clearly the 49ers' number one wide receiver if he is 100% with no restrictions on Sunday night. And obviously he's going to help them out in the run game tremendously. So I don't think you can understate how important George Kittle's return is for the 49ers, particularly as a heart and soul player, not having that guy on the defensive side of the ball in Fred Warner anymore. You get a little bit more. I mean, you can just feel him. I just saw him. One of the beat reporters had a little video of him at practice in the open portion of practice, which is like, the warm-ups essentially before practice really starts. And you could already feel George Kittle's presence. So not only just pure blocking, pure receiving, his presence and his attitude and his energy is going to be massive for the 49ers. So I think it'll be a huge boost for the 49ers offense. And obviously he helps tremendously in the run and the pass. And I think he'll be the number one wide receiver basically for the 49ers in this game. And I've talked about in the past, and me and Croc go over this all the time. We're like, dude, they don't throw it to George Kittle enough as it is. So, 12, 15 targets. Let's go. This is why you have a guy as good as George Kittle to utilize him. So I want to see him out there on pass routes, and I want to feel the difference that he makes in this game. And I really do think we will.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that you could see George Kittle make an impact on in this game, you can make a case that it might be the run game, but I think it's going to be the yak yards, man, because this is something that used to really be like the calling card of this 49ers offense, right? Like turning these shorter completions into these massive gains. You had Debo at his height where he was doing the wide back thing, and George Kittle also eating people up, and Brandon Ayuk pretty good at picking up that yards after the catch as well. But you haven't seen that this year. You really just have not seen that same level of explosive plays after the catch from the 49ers. And you saw a little bit of that from Ricky Pearsall at the beginning of the season, but it hasn't quite hit the same. And I think George Kittle, you will absolutely see a big change in that, because this guy, whether he's healthy or not, he's got one speed, right? He's like Charlie Sheen from that early 2010s interview. He's got one speed, go. And he's going to just go out there and run dudes over and play like a man with his hair on fire. And that's something that you didn't really see from Jake Tonjes. I mean, Tonjes, I think, did a very good job, probably a better job than we all expected him to do in filling in for George Kittle while he was gone, especially as a pass catcher. But he's not giving you that rack, that yak. He's not giving you that run after the catch and just lowering the shoulder and laying the boom on some smaller secondary guys. You will absolutely get that from George Kittle. And you know what? I'm kind of almost expecting George Kittle to go out there and like make a statement, right? Like I expect him early on in this one to go out there and just lay somebody out. Like he's gonna find a way to do it. But I think just who he is as a player, how he gets himself involved in games, and he's talked about this before, how he kind of gets himself ready to go for a football game. It's almost like he's seeking out that level of physicality to kind of like ignite something in his brain to say, hey, let's go. So I am expecting George Kittle to go out there and, as you're saying, make him feel them, because that's going to be the number one way he can impact this game is with his physicality. And that's something we've talked about a lot with this 49ers team, is that they're just lacking physicality up and down this roster, offensive line, defensive line. They don't have that killer instinct right now. And just like we talked about last week with Baker Mayfield being that guy on offense who's kind of almost sparking the defense to play tougher, I think George Kittle can do that same damn thing for the 49ers this week. If you see George Kittle out there going and laying the lumber on some dudes as a defender, as a 49ers defender, you're probably sitting there saying, I can't let George Kittle have the hardest hit of the entire night for the 49ers. I got to go out there and do something. So I am expecting George Kittle to go out there and be a tone setter, contribute in a lot of different phases of this game, even if he's not quite back at 100%. And all this is, as Brian said, predicated on him actually returning to the game. But I think that he is trending that way. That's been what all the reports have indicated, is that George Kittle will very likely make his return this week in week 7, and not a week too soon, man. The 49ers absolutely need this guy right now if they're going to avoid becoming pretenders, as we were talking about earlier on in the show. But I don't know. I think that you're still going to be a little clunky offensively with the receiver room looking how it does. Jawan Jennings, I mean, what part of this guy's body isn't injured right now? He has a high ankle sprain, a low ankle sprain, and like 5 broken ribs, I read. So like that's, I mean, it's wild to see what the 49ers are rolling out there right now as far as injured bodies and just kind of trying to weather the storm. But you've been able to get through it. Again, 4-2. It's been a really weird year so far, where the 49ers have been able to kind of limit the overall impact of some of these major injuries, and have still been able to win some football games. And I don't know, man. It's a very weird situation, I think, that the 49ers find themselves in right now. But against the Falcons, I think that you are going to have some struggles offensively moving the ball, mainly because of that pass protection unit up front, and because the Falcons pass rush has been so good this year. And it's going to be tough to be able to move the ball against that. We have not seen Christian McCaffrey do really much on the ground this year, other than get his 2 yards, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And I don't expect much of that to change against the Falcons, if we're being honest. George Kittle, great addition to the run game, and I think you'll have some better moments in the rushing attack. But overall, you're still missing good guard play. Like you're looking at maybe starting at right guard. I mean, a player who's probably never played a game in the NFL before, potentially. So it's at a certain point, you got 2 guys who are rookies starting at the guard position, and Jake Brendel at center, and aging Trent Williams at left tackle. It's just not very good right now. So ultimately, I think the 49ers have their work cut out for them. But if they can play some good defense, if they can limit that Falcons offense from keeping that ball possession game, keeping that offense on schedule, if you can make some plays on third down, maybe they get something going. I think that ultimately you got to figure out who's going to be quarterback, though. So, Brian, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? You thinking that it's going to be Mac Jones again, or is this maybe going to be a Brock Purdy week? Because both guys are injured again.
Yeah, both limited. Purdy more limited than Mac Jones. So sounds like a Mac Jones game. And I was a little bit critical of the 49ers for playing Brock Purdy in the Jaguars game. And, he ends up re-aggravating his turf toe worse. So you don't want to do that again. So you can't put Brock Purdy out there and make it an even longer injury, because he should probably be back by now. And maybe he would be closer to 100% in starting it this week if it wasn't for the re-aggravating that injury. But at the same time, Mac Jones is really banged up as well. So like, what was the answer of the Jaguars week? Play Adrian Martinez, and I see in the chat, someone says sacrifice Martinez. Like at a certain point, you didn't win the game anyway. So you might as well have gotten people healthy and played the other quarterback. Right. And so you don't want that to be this type of game either, where you go out there and you got a broken quarterback and they get hurt even worse. And it makes that recovery time longer, and then you still lose the game anyway. And I kind of feel like that about Dom Pooney right now, who didn't practice on Wednesday. And yeah, put Drew Moss in there. Like Pooney's not playing at the level that we expect him to play at, because he's playing on this knee injury. He's been hurt since before the season started, and he's not playing at the high level you want anyway. So, get him right if he's not right. And it's hard for this team with as many injuries as they've had to be like, okay, we're going to just replace guys that we don't have to. And they say that they can go. You're not going to hold guys out. And that's not ever been Shanahan's MO. But at a certain point, you got to get the team a little bit healthier and playing at a higher level, especially up front. But it sounds like it's going to be Mac Jones again this week, even though both quarterbacks were limited on Wednesday. Brock more limited than Mac. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and Martinez is a former MVP at the professional level, so maybe
one of the things I said, which I felt bad about it, but I'm going to say it again on this show, is unlike Kyle Shanahan, Adrian Martinez has a ring.
Oh no!
It came out of Cracker Jack box.
It's a UFL ring, but it's a ring nonetheless.
Okay, came out of Cracker Jack box though.
Yes, Central Valley's finest, Adrian Martinez. He was born right down the road from where I was born.
Hey, but going into this game, this is what Kyle Shanahan needs to do. He needs to go with 12 personnel with 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers and 1 running back, because that'll help your offensive line out quite a bit. And it'll create a little bit of a matchup problem for the Atlanta Falcons too, because you got George Kittle back, okay? And that's a biggie. Whoever plays the other tight end, hey, let him be the guy that helps that tackle and give a little bit more time to the quarterback. And now you got in the backfield, you got McCaffrey in the backfield, so you got 3 guys that you can go to. I mean, real quick. I'm talking about with the other receiver, whoever he may be, but that's the healthiest group you got, right?
Yeah.
2 wide receivers and 2 tight ends right now. The rest of them is beat up. Yeah, and Bourne, we've seen what the quarterback likes to do with him. That's his favorite target. So now you got him, and now you got Kittle back, and you got McCaffrey. So now you got 3 targets that he trusts.
And it was a good point, Eric, earlier. A couple of big things that the 49ers are missing. One, they're not playing the same level of bully ball that they once did. But the other one was the Yak Bros. And we saw it with Kendrick Bourne last week. It is like he caught this pass and he's trying to scoot, but that's not his game, right? And then they catch him from behind, and if that was Debo, if that was Ayuk, if that was Kittle, heck, they're the Yak Bros, and they might take that one to the house. And I think the third thing I would add, and it kind of goes into the Yak thing, and we even haven't really even seen Christian McCaffrey get loose as a runner or as a receiver. As busy as he's been as a receiver, he hasn't really been in space a lot and making a lot of big plays after the catch, which is what you would expect if you see a running back making that many receptions. It's usually there's a guy right on him, and he's kind of catching a hook, and and that's the end of the play. But team speed is really lacking for the 49ers right now on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't know if you're not willing to play Isaac Guerrero or the rookie running back, and look, Jordan James, not a burner either, but he looked pretty quick and he's got nice feet. You got to find a little bit more team speed, I think, if you're the 49ers, and maybe try to play some of these guys. Maybe get Jordan Watkins back at some point soon. He ran a 4.37 or something coming out of Ole Miss. Flashed a couple times, so maybe he's somebody that could help you out here. As much as Shanahan doesn't like playing rookies, you got to find a way to get some more speed on the football field.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be smaller and slower than your opponent, right? Like you got to be one or the other. And right now, the 49ers, especially up front, man, especially with those big hog mollies up the middle, don't look so big right now, and they definitely don't have the foot speed to get out there. And that is kind of Shanahan's MO, right? Like he likes the zone run, so he's gonna opt for offensive linemen that are a little bit smaller, a little bit more fleet of foot, and can get those angles a little bit more, pull a little bit better. But you're just not seeing it right now, and they absolutely do not look faster than anybody at any position. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, name one guy who's going to outrun their defender. I can't. I literally cannot name one guy. So
Kittle might be able to pull that off. And so,
exactly.
Kittle's 30 years old, but he's still more athletic than the guys that are covering him, if we're talking about linebackers in the NFL in most cases, and then brings a little extra to help him get loose and make some plays after the catch. So a welcomed addition, no doubt, is George Kittle.
Absolutely. And I think the 49ers are going to desperately need him to have a big impact on this game if they want to have any chance of winning against the Falcons on Sunday night. And so going forward, the 49ers, you're going to need a way to stop this Falcons pass rush, and you're going to also have to find a way to move this ball against the Falcons defense. And ultimately, I think there are some lanes to do that. So let's maybe talk about that next, how this 49ers offense can attack this Atlanta Falcons defense. That's coming up next here on the Locked On 49ers squad show, Locked On 49ers squad show.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by four-time Super Bowl champion Dwayne Board and host of the Locked On 49ers podcast, Brian Peacock. And the 49ers are going to have to find a way to move the ball against this Atlanta Falcons defense. They held the Bills to just 14 points, and they bottled up James Cook pretty effectively, kept him under 100 yards and did not let him score a touchdown. This guy's just been a touchdown scoring machine for the Buffalo Bills all since last season. This guy has been just an unstoppable force back there at getting into the end zone. But I think perhaps most impressively, you look at what they did with Josh Allen. I mean, you limited him to less than 250 total yards of offense between his passing and his rushing totals, under 200 yards of passing offense, only 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. They sacked him 4 times, a QBR of 18.7. So this Atlanta Falcons defense really got after Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best players in all of football and an MVP candidate. It's not really the same as Mac Jones, right? Like, Mac's had a nice year. The 49ers have been one of the most efficient passing offenses, shockingly, in the NFL. They've tallied a bunch of yards, and it looks like they're going to maybe face a little bit more stout of a challenge than they have this year throwing the ball. So, Brian, how do you think this 49ers offense can find success against this Atlanta Falcons defense?
Well, I said earlier that I left a little something in my back pocket that was a positive spin on this. And then right after that, Dwayne started to touch on it a little bit. And we saw this against the Los Angeles Rams. And I think that is the same game script that you have to follow. Kyle Shanahan is a better play caller and a better offensive mind than Zach Robinson, right? And they come from the same tree. So nobody's going to be surprised what the other team is doing, because Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson, those guys, they come from the Mick Shanahan tree, and you know what you're going to expect, and Kyle is better, and I trust that he's better. And then the same thing on the defensive side of the ball when you look at Robert Saleh, and obviously he knows what those guys are going to be doing on the offensive side of the ball. And look at their defensive coordinator, and that was the guy that was his boss in New York, and Jeff Ulbrich. So the 49ers, I think, have the advantage on the coaching side of things. Can Kyle Shanahan scheme things up to go down the field when you get the football early in the game and go score, and then come back and get the ball again and go score again, right? And that's what we saw against the Los Angeles Rams. And then you got to make the other team feel that pressure, get a little bit tight in your house, short week for the other guys. So very similar game script if you want to win this game to what happened with the Rams. And like in that Rams game, the 49ers might need a little bit of help. Can you get that? I mean, it was a nice play by Alfred Collins, but let's be honest. How often does that ball get punched out at the 2-yard line? And you're going to need some help. You're going to need Bijan to drop some passes. You're going to need some balls to bounce your way in this game. If you're the 49ers, you're going to need to capitalize on some mistakes from a young quarterback. And so those are the reasons that, even though I say the 49ers should not be favored in this game, I fully believe they shouldn't be, you can still go win this game. And the 49ers have proven it 4 times this year, and a couple of those wins against odds, right? So that's why you can never count these 49ers out. And especially with the other team coming on a short week, and you have the coaching advantage. And a team that you're familiar with what they're running. Like there's going to be no surprises out there Sunday night.
Yeah, and just how big of an advantage is that, Dwayne? Like the coaching advantage that the 49ers generally have most weeks. I mean, you obviously need the players to go out there and execute, but is the coaching advantage in a situation like this something that can just that alone basically win you the game?
It is. Yeah, because, okay, for one thing, Kyle Shanahan should be looking at when he was in Atlanta, what happened? He got fired, okay? So that's going to bring something out of him. That's going to put some fire in his soul. So he's going to he's going to translate that fire to the players that he's going to have on the field on Sunday. And he's going to tell them, hey, look, these guys got shut out against the Carolina Panthers, okay? They're coming into our house, and we got to protect it. They're not coming into our house bringing our trick-or-treating bags and going to have a party here. We're going to stop that party before it gets started. And it's a big advantage because he has something that he has to prove to the old team that he once stood on the sidelines with.
Yeah, I think everybody remembers the 28-3, you know what I mean? And so much so that the Falcons earlier this year actually posted, like, I think it was just before the season started, they posted I think it was their two of their draft picks this year, wearing numbers 28 and 3 next to each other on their social media, and they very quickly deleted it because they realized what they were invoking in their fan base. I feel bad for that intern, whoever posted that one, but yeah, I mean, it did not end well for Kyle in Atlanta. I don't think the Falcons fans, have very many warm and fuzzy feelings about Kyle based on how that one ended, even though he was obviously putting up record numbers with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones in that offense when he was their offensive coordinator. But yeah, I mean, I think that there is probably a little bit of a bad blood there to some extent. I know that Falcons fans probably aren't, like I said, huge Kyle Shanahan fans, but ultimately I think it's kind of been a while since then. Obviously, both teams look entirely different, but it's still largely the same Kyle Shanahan, right? The guy who's going to go out there and find a way to attack basically any defense in the NFL. I think Shanahan does do maybe not the best job of any coach in the NFL, but he's top 5 in getting a team ready to go play an opponent and attack their weaknesses. And he's always very adept at finding those things to exploit against opposing defenses. And I think that's what you got to hang your hat on if you're the 49ers. I mean, Mac Jones doesn't do what he's been doing for the 49ers if he has someone other than Kyle Shanahan calling plays. And I think that's something that, one, we have neglected to talk about enough, and two, that isn't credited to Shanahan enough, right? Like, everyone loves to talk about when a new quarterback pops in the Kyle Shanahan system, how they're like going to be the next great thing. And a lot of the time these quarterbacks go elsewhere. And I mean, was Nick Mullins something anywhere else? No. Like, was CJ Beathard good in Jacksonville? No. I mean, but were they? I mean, they weren't lighting the world on fire with the 49ers either.
He wasn't good here either, really. So
they were serviceable.
Mullins had some moments, man.
He does. He did. And ultimately, I think guys look really good when you're in the Kyle Shanahan system because he's coaching up things that are making you look better as a quarterback and making your life easier in the decisions you have to make, the reads you have. And that's something that a lot of fans aren't going to just see when they're watching a game unfold in front of them. It's a lot of Kyle's kind of simplifying complex parts of the games for his quarterback. And I think that's something that he doesn't get enough credit for. But I absolutely think that if you put Mac Jones on say maybe it's not a fair comparison. So I was going to say the Cleveland Browns, but I mean, any quarterback on the Browns is going to be absolutely awful. But let's say you throw him on the Cardinals when Kyler Murray eventually, starts missing games, because he does every year. Is Mac Jones going to do in Arizona the same thing he's been doing in San Francisco? Absolutely not. Not without Kyle Shanahan. And you could argue that the talent in a situation like Arizona would be, similar to what the 49ers got, because the 49ers don't have 90% of their playmakers. So I think that you've got to give Shanahan some credit in his due in what we've seen him kind of put together so far this year in keeping the team afloat. He has just as much of a hand in this as anybody else does so far this season. And he is, I think, their biggest advantage in this Falcons game. So, Brian, I think that's a great point to bring up that Kyle Shanahan is going to give them the edge in this one. I think that might be enough to win this game.
Dwayne, you could probably feel me on this as well. I know back in the day, the Falcons were in the NFC West and they weren't a problem for the 49ers. But there was an era that was really annoying with the Atlanta Falcons and the dirty bird, right? So I think you can agree with me that you wouldn't mind seeing them cook that dirty bird on Sunday night.
Hey, I wouldn't mind it at all because there's no dirty bird. That's back in the day. That's all gone now. The bird is
the dumbest dance that ever existed on an NFL field, and there's been some bad looks. That was by far worse.
Yeah, they serving them up at Chick-fil-A right now, dirty birds. Nobody's eating that.
I think Mike Gesicki might have something to say about the worst NFL dance of all time. You remember Mike Gesicki's attempt at the gritty? I think that I don't know. It's a pretty low bar to try and limbo underneath.
Gritty was just so played out too, and you know it's bad when you start seeing Kirk Cousins and Mike Gesicki even trying it. You got to go somewhere else to your dances, and I'm so surprised to see people try to pull that one off. As cheesy as it was, the Icky Shuffle. Still, like, cheese can be good. Dirty Bird was cheesy and bad. The Icky Shuffle was cheesy and good.
Well, back in the day, Icky, he shuffled, but I remember Super Bowl 23 when Ronnie Lott made Icky leave the field and go behind the bench and never saw Icky anymore. And the word out of Ronnie's mouth was, let him through. I'll take care of him. Right. That ended the shuffle.
You don't hear that very often from a safety. It's okay, guys. Let him through.
Yeah, let him through. I got him.
Can't get enough Ronnie Lott stories, man. Anytime, Dwayne, anytime you got a Ronnie Lott story, like, lay it on us, please.
Yeah. All Icky's been shuffling is in grocery stores.
Oh, man. Well, hopefully the 49ers can be laying the lumber like Ronnie Lott was against Bijan Robinson in this upcoming game, because I think they're going to really need to impose some physicality on that Falcons rushing attack to slow it down. Let's take a quick break here, wrap this one up. On the other side, you are watching the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets is a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's so frustrating. And that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. And I love Game Time zone deals too. You just pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. And their last minute deals, obviously, if you're on the way to the game and you don't have a ticket yet, you would be crazy to use anything other than Game Time, because they're going to make sure you get the best deal and you're going to get your ticket before you get to the game. And I pulled up Game Time, saw in just a couple taps, I saw a few amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games for as low as $100. And getting into Levi's, man, it can be a hassle, but don't make getting your tickets as much of a hassle as it is to just get into the damn building. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by four-time Super Bowl champion Dwayne Board and host of the Locked On 49ers podcast, Brian Peacock. 49ers, Falcons, Sunday Night Football. 49ers sitting at 4-2, Falcons at 3-2, and one team's going to have 3 losses by the end of this one. Brian, who do you think it's going to be?
I don't like the way this is looking on paper for the San Francisco 49ers. There are some paths for the 49ers to win, but I think the Falcons are playing at a higher level. They are a more complete football team. Can the 49ers win this one in the margins? Possible. I got to take the Falcons here.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning the same way, but Dwayne, how are you seeing this one shaking out?
Well, you see on my sweatshirt, I'm wearing a bird, right?
Oh,
Chicken.
you are.
Yeah. So I'm riding with the chickens, man. I don't have to do the dirty bird on you, Brian. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm going with I'm with you. I'm going with the Falcons 24-17.
Well, I'm also thinking a Falcons win. I think it's going to be a little bit low scoring for the 49ers. I think it's going to be a 13-24 win for the Falcons. I would take the Falcons plus the points. Like I said earlier, completely insane that the Falcons are getting points in this one. I mean, if you're feeling lucky, maybe go Falcons money line, but definitely get some money on the Falcons plus the points. And just want to point out, the last time all three of us picked the 49ers to lose on this show, they went out and beat the Rams. So maybe.
You're exactly right. We did, and I was just thinking that.
And that's why they say any given Sunday, right? Any given Sunday, anything can happen. These are all professional football players. No football game is easy to win. And so 49ers, I mean, maybe they don't have the best chance at a win on Sunday Night Football, but hey, you get to watch the boys in primetime, and hopefully you'll see some big plays with George Kittle returning to action, and maybe an outside shot at him having his quarterback Brock Purdy back there as well. All that, of course, remains to be seen over the course of this week, and if George can continue progressing in the way he has been, I think he should be ready to go for Sunday's game. Brock Purdy, I think, is a little bit more of a stretch. So either way, hopefully the 49ers get slightly more healthy this week, and we can have a week where they, get a guy back instead of losing a guy for once. That would just call me crazy, but maybe by the end of this one, they can get more guys back than they lose after Sunday.
Hey, is this prime time with uniforms this game, or are they breaking them out this game?
I'm not sure what the uniforms are in this one. I think the 49ers are playing wearing the home red.
Oh, they are?
I think the only week they're using the new black uniforms is the very last game of the season against the Seahawks, I think. Unless they change that.
So, Dwayne, you're going to love this, but they're wearing the 94 throwbacks. The red throwback.
They wearing those? Okay.
So let's go. Maybe they can play like the 94 team on Sunday against the Falcons. They can channel some of that energy.
Hey, we did it with a bunch of nomads, man. Now, every week we had a new defensive lineman lined up. We even brought Tim Harris back. We got him out the tank, man.
and at least the new throwbacks actually fit the players, because the ones you guys had back in '94, they must have just thrown them together so quickly. I don't think the uniforms even fit that well. They were like kind of flopping around, and they might have just it was like the express order. I don't know. It was a little bit weird, but now they got them all form fitted on these guys with the newer uniforms. I actually like the way the throwbacks look better than the originals. But it always looks better when you're winning football games. And one last note here, really quick, on the Falcons. I know they're hot, coming off a couple of big wins, but it wasn't that long ago when they were getting completely shut out by the Carolina Panthers 30-0. So let's not act like the Falcons are this team that the 49ers can't go beat in their house.
It's a very good point. I don't think the Panthers are, I don't think anyone's considering them as an elite defense in the NFL right now. But
they are 3-3 though.
They are 3-3.
Quite as bad as we once thought.
Yeah. Yep, they've won some games this year. They've had some big games from Rico Dowdle. Shout out my best pickup of the fantasy football season this year. And but I mean, yeah, it's I think going to be a little bit tougher to slow down this offense now. It looks like it has a little bit more of an identity than it did then, with just being a smash mouth run first. We're gonna absolutely run this down your throat and punish you type football team. At least that's what we saw against the Bills on Monday Night Football just a couple nights ago. So we'll see if the 49ers are able to slow that dirty bird rushing attack down and pick up their 5th win of the season. For us on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show, that's all the time we got for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Shout out to all our everydayers making us your first listen for all of your 49ers news. 49ers, Falcons, Sunday Night Football, big matchup coming up. Hopefully George Kittle returns to action. That is the biggest key to victory for this 49ers team. It's all the time that we got for you guys today. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, for Dwayne Board and Brian Peacock. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Yeah.